Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jack Daly, Director of the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum, and it's my honor to welcome you this evening to the 2008 Charles A. Lindbergh Memorial Lecture. May 21st of this year will be the 81st anniversary of Charles Lindbergh's nonstop solo flight from New York to Paris. Tonight's program is made possible by Bombardier. Each year, we go through an exhaustive process to identify a distinguished member of the aviation community to share his or her vision, memories, and insights. We are guided in this process by the museum's mission, which is to commemorate, educate, and inspire. We are honored to welcome Herb Kelleher as the 2008 Lindbergh Lecturer. He was the youngest of Harry and Ruth Kelleher's 4 children. Even as a child, he had a cheerful, engaging personality. At Haddon Heights High School, he was president of the junior class, captain of the football team, and lettered in basketball and track. Mr. Kelleher attended Wesleyan University in Connecticut, where he was an Olin Scholar. Graduated cum laude with a degree in English and philosophy. This turned out to be the perfect background for Mr. Kelleher's future career. The history of Southwest Airlines is the stuff of legends. In 1966, Mr. Kelleher and Texas businessman Roland King were having drinks at St. Anthony's Club in San Antonio. Before the night was over, they had come up with a brilliant plan for an airline. It's amazing how many aviation feats get their starts in bars on cocktail napkins. The sophisticated plan documented here would be an important asset to the Smithsonian Institution's collection. The founding principles of Southwest were innovative and risky. Southwest was on the fast track from the very beginning. Courageous, daring, unafraid of risk, Mr. Kelleher bravely led Southwest to success in a cool, calm, and distinguished way. Although supposedly he's in the process of retiring, Mr. Kelleher remains committed to Southwest and its legacy in the history of flight. Southwest began with 3 airplanes in 1971, and now operates a fleet of 453 airplanes performing 3,100 flights per day. The company has been profitable for 33 consecutive years. Southwest has never furloughed an employee. According to Money Magazine, between 1972 and 2002, Southwest produced the highest return to shareholders of any company included in the S&P 500 year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Herb Kelleher.
First of all, I want to say that I was quite surprised to be asked to give the Lindbergh Lecture this year. And looking around the audience, gazing into your souls through your eyes, I can tell you that I am not alone in my surprise. And frankly, I don't care why you're here this evening. I'm just really grateful to you. No matter what brought you, whether it was curiosity, because you thought I was dead, whether it was concern, because you knew of my mental disabilities, or even whether it was just surveillance. In the case of FAA Administrator Bobby Sturgill, who is here. I'm just grateful to you for your presence. And I'm going to tell you something that my mother, she would say, you satirized my sacred Herb, who has always been serious, always been hardworking, always been down to earth, and really is the best son that any mother could ever have. In actuality, when I was about 22, Jack, my mother said to me, you know, Herb, you're the nicest of my 4 children. And I was kind of staggered by that. I couldn't imagine a mother making that statement. And I said, Mom, I'm amazed. Why would you say that? She said, well, you're the only one that never said no to me. She said, you never did anything that I asked you to do, but you never said no. I'm really excited to be asked to give this lecture. I must tell you in all honesty that throughout my life, I've much more often been the recipient of lectures than I have been the giver of lectures. But it's a thrill to be in this cathedral of aviation with its superb leadership and absolutely magnificent people. And it's a double thrill to be here commemorating Charles Lindbergh's solo flight across the Atlantic. For that and many other, really, I would say, gigantic contributions to civil and even military aviation, Lindbergh is a legend, and might I add, a worthy legend in the annals of aviation. By way of comparison, with respect to aviation, and probably with respect to the totality of his life versus mine, Lindbergh is an elephant, and I am merely an ant. Amazingly, however, Lindbergh and Kelleher, the elephant and the ant, do have one thing in common. And that is that after his electrifying and death-defying solo flight, Charles A. Lindbergh became known as Lucky Lindy. The fact that Southwest Airlines is alive and flourishing today makes me Lucky Herbie. And you know Irishmen, like me, really need luck. Reputedly, the reason the Arabs got all the oil and the Irish got all the potatoes was because the Irish got first choice. And
We have time for a few questions, if there are any.
Used to prance around the neighborhood with this three-piece suit, looked very regal, stalked in a majestic way, was the head of a local business organization, and then he got indicted for embezzlement and sent away for 5 years. And all of a sudden I realized what my mom had been telling me. So she was really the author of it. It's not a robust approach for the Air Force to be flying 84-year-old tankers or 55-year-old B-52s. And believe me, China's building new airplanes, Russia's building new airplanes, and ours are tired, and a lot of them are outmoded. And that's another example of what we need to do. You know how you prevent war? By making people afraid of you, to take you on. So the weaker we get, I think the more exposed we are. Anyhow, that's my philosophy.
It actually has your name. The Lindbergh Medal presented to Herb Kelleher on the 13th of May 2008, and it's I'm going to hold it up so everybody can see. This is a replica of the medallion that was struck for the 80th anniversary of the Lindbergh crossing. So it's a memento we hope that you keep
that